I'm kidding. The pressure's on.
I know. Okay. This has really been stressing me out because I felt so determined about being a nurse. But, people's the career ideas are constantly changing.
Sure.
I've heard people who are even in college and they went from one major to another. And so I feel like there's so much like since I had decided something that's what I've got to stick to because I've stuck to it for so long. But
that's just in your head, though.
Yeah, it's not the case. I still have time.
My buddy Ron changed his majors 4 times in college.
Yeah.
So college is a time to explore.
Yeah.
You can start down a path. Maybe your path is nursing or social work or journalism or whatever. Start down the path. And if turns out, you just don't want to do it or you want to look at something else, you can switch. There's no downside.
Yeah.
Well, there might be some extra classes you might have to take as part of your core.
But it's hard because everyone right now in high school, what I was told was that in high school that was the time when you were supposed to be exploring your options.
Yeah.
And by the end of high school you have to figure out at least a general idea of what you need to do. But that's not the case at all. High school is just another part of schooling.
It is.
And they put so much pressure on you and everyone else too.
Yeah, they do.
It's not just the people at school, everyone outside of school knowing that you're in high school. They're like, "Oh, so what do you want to do with your life?"
What are you going to do when you grow up?
I don't know.
Yep.
And honestly,
you're not the only one there.
Yeah.
Believe me, you're not the only one.
Yeah. And what we just talked about, that actually sounds really cool to do. And I think I really want to look into it.
So look into it.
Yeah. But then now I got to change.
Sometimes, and the beautiful thing about living in this age is that so many people are designing their career.
Yeah.
They're saying, okay, I'm good at this and this and this, and I have an interest in this. I'm going to make a career doing that.
Doing all those things, yeah.
And it may be something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. And I think it's nice because then we have a chance now to do what we love.
Yeah.
Because, not back in the old days. There wasn't as many job opportunities and not as much
There was
access.
so many more traditional job opportunities.
Yeah.
You work in an office in a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
You're expected to be, depending on the family, a doctor, a lawyer, or something in the medical field, whatever.
Yeah.
People had expectations, or
Or
you're going to work in an
factory
office.
worker.
You're going to be, exactly.
Yeah.
People had expectations because those were the options, and that's what jobs that were in abundance. When I was in college, the jobs that were in abundance and that they were pushing really, really hard in college were accounting jobs. They said, if you work for one of the, at the time, big 8 accounting firms, I think there's only 6 now, but maybe I don't remember. If you'll be set for life, you'll have a pension, you'll have all this other stuff. And, so they were pushing it hard.
Yeah.
They were talking about the salaries and I just thought, while I did really good in my accounting classes, it was painful.
Yeah.
I did not like it. I would not want to go into a career in accounting.
Yeah.
It's just not me.
Yeah.
You have to love what you do. And if now that you live in this age and you can design a career that you're going to love, that's great. And the cool thing is, again, back when I was in college, you were expected to, the job you started out of college, the expectation was that that's the job you were going to end your career in. That's the one you were going to retire from.
Yeah.
And that didn't. And in fact, one of the companies that I worked for when I was in college was a company that had been around for 125 years. And they did have a pension. And it was one of those jobs where they said, you have the opportunity to stay here forever, until you're ready to retire.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't want to stay here ready to retire for one. Then I ended up working there for 6.5 years, and that's fine. And then, I was ready to go.
Yeah.
But that was the expectation, and so many people in that company did, and they would rise up through the ranks, and they would get in these positions, and they would stay there for 30 years or 40 years.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't see it. And now, I don't know how many jobs I've had, career changes. And I was in the IT industry for a long time, and then I got out of the IT industry, and I was in real estate. And then I got out of real estate and I went into commercial real. I started out in residential real estate, then went into commercial real estate, and then went into investment properties, and then I went into what did I do after that? I was working at Mathnasium for a long time,
yeah.
teaching math and running Mathnasium centers. And that was awesome. I loved that job, but it doesn't pay very well.
Yeah.
And the hours on working on Saturdays wasn't the greatest.
Yeah.
But there's a job where you have an impact. Oh my gosh, to have an impact on those kids and teach them math and see the light bulb go on.
Oh.
And everyone gets so excited. And oh man, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then, that didn't last because I still had to put food on the table.
Yeah.
And it didn't have any benefits. And so, there's drawbacks. So, and so now I'm actually back in the IT industry. So it's a great opportunity that I'm working in this industry again after being, feeling like a dinosaur for so long. But I'm back where I love being, which is back in the IT industry, and I really do enjoy it.
That's good.
But there's nobody anywhere, I think, stays in a company for very long.
Yeah.
And, interesting, my buddy Ron, the one who had the 4 majors in college, went in out of college and he started working for a company. And it was a bank. He worked for a bank. And he has worked for, at this time, I think 4 or 5 different banks, but they've all been the same company. He's never left the job.
Wow.
Which is interesting. It's just because that his bank has been bought out by another bank and bought out by another bank and bought out by and now it's Bank of America. And so, it's an enormous corporation now that he works for. But it's always gone for all these different names and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he's had different positions. And I mean, it's just... But this guy who was indecisive in college now has been in this lifelong career. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And that's so rare. It's so rare to happen anymore.
Yeah.
I think you have opportunities.
Yeah. I think that's good to hear, especially for people my age right now, because we have so much pressure on us to decide something.
Yeah.
And I think we gotta listen to like what you had just said, that people are constantly changing jobs and careers and what they're passionate about, and I think that's a really good thing to think about. And some people do go into this world come into this world and they have they know exactly what is meant for them, or like what is their purpose to do.
Sure.
But I think we need to. So a lot of people are still trying to figure out their place.
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah. And I think that's good to know, is that it's okay to still look for what you just look for what you honestly are passionate about, because you got to enjoy the life that you live.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's 2 podcasts that I listen to. One of them is How I Built This, which is an NPR. I think it's an NPR produced podcast, which is really fascinating. But it's about how businesses grow. And they talk to the founders of these businesses, so they talk to the founder of Eventbrite and they talk to the founder, all these different companies. And it's fascinating because in many, many cases, the founders either didn't have an education, they didn't go to college, or they went to college for one thing, but when they started this career, this company, it was completely left field. It's a completely different career path than what they went to school for, what they, started their career down. So it's interesting that people can do that. And I think it's fascinating. I love listening to those stories. And then there's another one too. I think it's called That Creative Life. It's Sarah Dietschy produces it. And I find that fascinating because she interviews creatives, people who are in, what do we call it? Content creation. And so it's interesting to listen to them talk about how they started down their career paths. Because in a lot of them, they don't go to college. They may, they just fell into this, or not even fell in. I don't want to say that because they worked their butts off. But they found something that they're really passionate about, and they turned it into a career. It's something that didn't exist before. Yeah. And so...
Yeah, content creators, they haven't... It's like a job for them. Yeah. And some of them start off pretty young. Like, there are some young content creators.
Absolutely.
And it's still a full-on job for them. It's kind of like young actors, Yep. Like, they're put right into a job that pays, and they make a living off of it. And there's... all different ages content creators, just like there's all different ages actors and actresses. So I think this we kind of take for granted, and there's a lot of hate on those people, but I think they really I think it's really cool how they have found a passion of telling their story.
Sure.
And like expressing themselves. And I think they really work hard, and they get paid for it. So
sure.
I think it's really cool. So
it is. I think it's a very neat thing to do.
Yeah.
And that hate, I think people who hate on it are people who are typically jealous and are angry that they're not taking the leap, putting the effort in themselves. Yeah. So they feel that they're going to knock somebody else down by hating on them.
Yeah.
Whatever. We don't have time for that.
Yeah. No.
So, but getting back to, when I was in high school, my buddy Jim and I, we were inseparable. We were almost twins. We were brothers from different mothers. But we had this philosophy of life that life was a game. And so every challenge that came by was a different level of the game that you had to overcome. And, you'd figure out the puzzle to beat the challenge, and then you'd go on to the next challenge. And it was a really great philosophy. And then the only way to lose the game, there was only one way to lose the game, and that was to commit suicide.
Oh, wow.
And so, it made the game very easy to play, and that life is kind of a game. Yeah. So that was our philosophy. And then he was dating this girl, and I remember I went out to my truck, and there was a note on my truck, and it was from Jim, and he said, "I think I'm losing the game." And I thought, oh my God, how horrible. Because, because I knew that he was having trouble with this girl he was dating. And so, I hop in my truck, and because I was driving a Suburban at the time, and I'm driving all over town trying to find him, and I was searching everywhere, and I finally found him, and, I talked him off the ledge, so to speak. It's not like he was, but, his mind was so negative that, that's, I mean, we had that connection. We knew that philosophy about life, and to have that was just so scary. Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Way to make a fun joke.
Really? Yeah. I mean, you have this great philosophy of life, and then
it's just
you have this shock.
Yeah.
Oh my. But fortunately, he turned out fine, and he actually married her, and they've got a long life together. So and they have 3 kids and all that. So
nice.
It worked out. But
that's good.
It's scary.
Yeah.
But that's the way you think in high school.
Yeah. But isn't that interesting? Also, because you were the one that helped him out of that, or you're one of the people that helped him.
Yeah, it was me and Sean and some others.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
That just goes back to your purpose for life is impacting other people,
helping others.
Yeah, helping others. Yeah.
So I think that if you want to, and plus if you feel good. I mean, we were watching that Friends episode the other day where Phoebe was trying to find an unselfish act where she would contribute to somebody's life and not get any benefit out of it, and she couldn't. And but that's the nice thing, when you help somebody, you get some sort of benefit out of it, and that's okay too.
Even if it's just feeling good.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I think we get into the point where we feel it's selfish that we feel good about something, and we shouldn't feel selfish about it. We should feel good that we accomplished something, or we helped somebody, or we made somebody's life better.
Yeah, that's really good. I was gonna say something.
Oh, sorry, I derailed your train of thought.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That's okay.
Well, that's just
you have any other thoughts on the meaning of life?
Yeah,
it's a deep subject.
Yeah, it is. I definitely think things that. Just general things we should take away from this is finding your own meaning of life, which is very important. Finding your own purpose, because then it almost gives you motivation when you feel like, oh, this is what was put on the planet to do. Then it's rewarding when you start doing that. Yeah. Impacting people and helping people.
Well, you're excited to do it.
Yeah.
You get up in the morning, you jump out of bed, you're ready to attack the day because you have a purpose.
Yeah. Especially when it goes into your career, finding a career that helps you do what you want to do. Finding something that you're passionate about and sticking to it.
Yeah, do you know how hard it would be to get out of bed in the morning at 4:30 or 5:30 in the morning to do a job that you didn't like?
Yeah.
It's so hard to get out of bed to do.
Yeah. One of the things, my boyfriend, he, sometimes when I'm talking to him before work, he'd be like, oh, I really don't want to go to work for this reason or that reason. Mm-hmm. And I always try to be like, no, come on, you like working. Because he said before that he likes working there. It's just,